Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Monday, the 4th of July. Okay, looking at the, let's start for the euro dollar. So, euro dollar last week managed to gain just over 50% of its losses, recover back 50% back into the monthly pivot as we're looking at the moment. We've got the weekly pivot not that far below us at 1093, which any sell-off I would like to trade back down towards that sort of area. Short term, it started getting quite choppy at where we're sitting, but really need a break. Looking at it from an intraday point of view, need it below. Ideally, I'd prefer it below the 50 MA to be fair, but it may not give us a lot of mileage from there. Let's just have a quick measure. 20 pips. It's one of those that could be sort of ridden sort of partial way and full way if it starts breaking down below the daily pivot. I have to just watch that 34 because it will maybe give some support, but the key numbers I'm looking there, as I say, is really I'm looking for the weekly pivot to be hit if it does have any retracement. Okay, to the upside though, is really how I'm still seeing things. When you're looking at the bigger picture here, we're still doing the higher lows, higher highs. So upside, well, that 4 hourly 200 looks pretty good with a weekly R1. So any break, if you start seeing it break to the upside, opportunities may appear there and give us, as I said, well, it's just above Friday's highs towards that R1 at 111.81. So that's what I'm looking for on that side for the pound. So the pound has made less progress, but it's off its ultimate lows at the moment, and I'm still sitting there partially bullish on this. Now, pivot wise, well, we're right into the weekly pivot, so if we can break back above that, I'll be a little bit more bullish on it anyway, and would be looking for maybe this towards at some point the 4-hourly 50 would be quite nice. We've already done the 4-hourly 21. Another test that hopefully will let us through this time and see us moving up. The 34 may just stall things on its way. But if we can start, as I say, breaking up, get above that weekly pivot, well, we've got the hourly 50 in the way before then, which is to say maybe the staller, the 34 equivalents, around about that area. If we can break that, well, then it gives us last week's Friday's highs, maybe a bit more to go for. Dollar yen. Well, yen started pulling back a little bit there on Friday. It's now, well, to me, I think in this overall move, it didn't break the lows of Thursday. It didn't break the highs. Bit of an inside day. We could see a bit of a continuation. Would like to see it push on up. It's already done the weekly pivot. Would like to see it pushing up towards the monthly pivot that's above us. If it continues in this mode, it's got so choppy through through most of Friday, and it's not really showing us clear direction in the Asian session at the moment. But maybe if it starts breaking this trend line, that's sort of very short-term trend line sitting across the top here, we could see a further move upwards back towards that 60-minute 200 and the daily R1. Aussie dollar. Aussie's recovered pretty well since Brexit, and it's moving on, which is air kissed. Or I say air kiss, wasn't really an air kiss. I don't like the way it's really gone through it past its monthly pivot without coming back and catching it. But well, maybe as it's been so close to it on the 30th, it may just be that it skips it this month. If it can carry on pushing up this way, I wouldn't be too bothered if it didn't get there. Looking at last week's highs, the week before's highs even, as the possible targets at some point during this week. It's also missed its just looking through here, it's got the weekly pivot below it and the monthly pivot. So perhaps if it does start rolling over, they'll become targets. But at the moment, well, there's no divergence in the current move. We're just pushing up as we are. It's already hit the daily pivot R1. The range may be a bit restricted today, as ever during the London session with the Aussie dollar. Canadian dollar then finally, and we've seen it retracing as the price of oil. Let me just flick onto oil for you. Had been sort of, we were consolidating more than anything else here. It did have a couple of good up days last week, and then Friday it pushed up again. So it's trying to get back into that sort of 50 plus range, but as I said before, the chances are that it may just sort of run between, well, perhaps 46, 52 sort of range for a while. There are signs that some of the stocks are starting to reduce, and maybe it will give it the potential to push on a little bit more, which in turn could, so let's bring Canadian dollar back, let's go back to the dailies, which in turn could see the strengthening of the Canadian dollar a bit more back to the pre-Brexit sort of levels. It's making good progress at the moment. As you can see, it's well, I'm just looking here. Probably R1 looks more likely than the weekly pivot that's above us. But any retracements and drops in price of oil may see us run back towards Canadian dollar, move back towards its weekly pivot, and that would always be a target. But for now, with the price action it's doing, I think the lower highs, lower lows suggest we could be running down towards that weekly S1, and there's a MIDI there as well as a sort of a target point. Let's just check on the bigger, smaller time frames rather. Okay, getting towards getting towards the sort of oversold area, not quite yet there, but if it pushes down to S1, maybe today's S1 may see it getting a little bit oversold on the RSI as well. So it's something just to bear in mind there. Okay, that's pretty much it. News today is very little. We've got Independence Day in the US. I'm expecting a relatively modest morning this morning, and then probably a very quiet afternoon. So that's my outlook for the day. Hope you have a great one. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.